If you are regular to my YouTube channel, then you would probably know I am not a fan of Harman tuning.
What's wrong with you? Just bring it up. I'm leaving.
But wait, I can be very objective on this. I'm just gonna put aside my preferences and talk about something which is super impressive, especially if you love Harman sort of sound. Let's just talk about this LETSHUOER Cadenza 4. With a price tag of just $249 US, this is one of the top offering from LETSHUOER. If you look at the content of this box, I am impressed. Impressed because let's just have a look at the IEM itself. This is perhaps one of the most beautiful IEM which I have seen recently. The color is pastel, and just have a look at the cable here. Premium silver plated cable, and it comes in detachable plug module. You are given 3 different sizes, anywhere from 4.4 mm balance, 3.5 mm single-ended, and all the way to the older 2.5 mm balance, just in case you still need that. This Cadenza 4 is also perhaps one of the most comfortable IEM that you can expect, which is pretty much expected out of a resin-based kind of IEM. And I am impressed also with the seal factor. I am not hearing any kind of ambient noises coming from behind me. Now, what's the deal with me not liking Harman tuning? Just for some perspective, let me just share you this. One of the reasons that I don't like Harman tuning because I think Harman takes too much away the lower mid-range all the way to the mid-bass. So which means that the tuning itself focus a lot more on the sub-bass. So when I listen to the type of music which I love, something which contains a lot of percussion, like hi-hat, or even low-octave guitars, or even low-octave vocals, like baritone or even contralto, I do feel that I am losing a bit of, let's say, impact, body presence and slam to that particular range of sound. So that is one of the reasons why I don't like Harman tuning. However, like I say, I want to be objective on this. Let's just talk about go back to this Cadenza 4 here. Okay, and I would just simply declare that this is perhaps one of the most underappreciated IEM in the market when it comes to Harman sort of tuning. Because you see, after spending quite a bit of time listening to it, I do feel that first and foremost, it is super easy to drive because it is rated at just 15 ohm with 102 dB of sensitivity, and it is a hybrid with 1 dynamic driver, 10 mm, and I think 3 balance amateur. So I was able to run it super easily with my phone here, Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV, and pretty much as per expected, because just like many other hybrid IEM, no issue at all, driving it super easily. But of course, I get the best result. I spent quite a lot of time using this Cadenza 4 with this iBasso DC07 Pro here, which is one of my favorite dongle now, and simply it syncs to me much better. It opens up. So despite being super easy to drive, I would highly recommend that you scale it up with better sources. As I said, underappreciated, because if you are familiar with moondrop variations, and I know a lot of people love variation, I don't like it. I just gonna openly say because it's just like too harmonish for me. But this one, when I spent time listening to it, one of the key elements which I really love was how it handles the dynamic transient. Despite being a hybrid with 2 types of drivers, it was able to maintain and sustain great amount of coherency, handling different layer of sound frequency, meaning that there's no element of disconnect. Everything sounded, let's say, fluid, harmonious throughout the entire frequency range, from the highest to the lowest. It is smooth while being analytical at the same time. So we are talking about proper balance here. And another thing which I really love about this Cadenza 4 is the timbre tonality. The tonality is just so natural. Despite having that 3 balance amateur inside, I am not hearing any element or hint of being metallic, being digital, or being dry sounding, which is normally associated with Knowles balance amateur. Neutral type of Harman-ish tuning. So when I say neutral, you can expect, like, unlike many other Harman tune IEM nowadays, especially those following the 2009 adjusted Harman tuning, this thing is very transparent and neutral. So let's talk about it. Transparent and neutral means that you can expect accuracy as how the recording was intended. There's no hint of coloration there, especially when it comes to upper frequency, mid-range, and just a very minor hint of boosting in the lower frequency. Unlike some other Harman tune IEM, like for example, if I were to talk about Truth Ear Nova, or even let's say this 7 Hz Zero, which is very popular, they are just so very crazily boosted when it comes to the lower frequency, especially with the sub bass. This thing, okay, still focus a bit more on the sub bass because of that Harman tuning, and it does suppress quite a bit of mid bass. So this is kind of a mixed bag for me, because despite liking the transient handling, despite liking the timbre, despite enjoying the speed, the resolution, and the overall balance, I do feel that when I use this cadenza for listening to certain type of, let's say, rock and metal music, or even certain type of, music which contains a lot of low octave, which focus a bit more on the lower mid-range all the way to the mid-bass, I feel that I am losing a bit of impact and slam there. So it depends on the music that you listen to. But if you switch to electronic music, J-pop, K-pop, Madonna, stuff like that, probably you will not be missing too much, because those type of recording typically focus a lot more already during the mixing time on the lower frequency. So it balances out. So you're gonna hear proper balance of mid bass and sub bass, but not so much for the more traditional recording, especially something like classical, because you're gonna lose a bit more of that mid range, okay, lower mid range zing when it comes to, let's say, certain instrument like even violin or harpsichord. But at least it is accurate and it is transparent, it is uncolored. So when I say uncolored, it is definitely the reference type of uncoloration. You can even use this cadenza for monitoring purposes. Technically speaking, this cadenza 4 is very impressive as well. I can easily place it among some of the top performer which I have tested this year, and namely something like even IO Volare, okay, and even Rose Technique QTX, or even let's say High Senior Mega 5 EST, or even the most recent one like SimGod EM10. These are very amazing IEM, and without a doubt this cadenza 4 is among them when it comes to technicality, because what you're going to get is clarity, something which resolve very cleanly everything from the imaging itself, the crispness of the sound transient itself. There's no hint of, let's say, anything which is out of place. There's a lot of accuracy and transparency there. And I think when it comes to the sound stage itself, it is perhaps not the wider sounding, because I have heard some other IEM which sounds wider, but at least it is circular and wide enough, and most importantly, it is very holographic, being a hybrid. That's one of the benefit of why you want to use a hybrid. They are very holographic, which means that it is super suitable for binaural type of music, or even for gaming. I have already mentioned some of the popular names in comparison to this cadenza 4 earlier. And definitely you might easily recognize some of them, like Moondrop Variation, okay, and even IO Volare, High Senior Mega 5 EST, some of the few example of so many very well tuned Harman type IEM in the market nowadays. So you get an idea how good this thing is. And when it comes to the rating and the scoring itself, let's just quickly have a look here at ND Audiovolt IEM ranking system. After careful consideration, I have no hesitation giving it a total score of 72 out of 100, which is super impressive, and it is easily mingling with some of the top performer in my ranking system of almost, let's say, 200 IEM, which I have tested so far. So again, let me just repeat this. Let me just sum it up. If you are looking for something which is reference level with huge amount of clarity, transparency, less coloration, okay, the kind of IEM which is like that you can use even for monitoring, this is one of them. This is one of the IEM which I would even, let's say, recommend alongside something like Tanjim Origin, okay, because you're gonna get that kind of superb, transparent, neutral, uncolored experience, which will definitely defy the kind of price tag that this cadenza 4 is asking for.